Let's start with the rapid fire rounds just to break the ice. The first question is, at what age do you want to retire?
Well, I've never thought about retiring. I don't know yet.
How long does it take you to get ready in the morning?
An hour and 15 minutes.
Favorite color?
Purple.
What time of day are you most inspired?
In the evening.
How many hours of sleep can you survive on?
Can go as low as 6 hours. Less than that, I can't.
Fill in the blank. An upcoming finance trend is black.
Digital.
The city in which the best kiss of your life happened.
New York.
How do you relax?
I relax in our country house in Connecticut, in the woods, doing nothing.
How many cups of coffee do you drink per day?
Between the espressos and the drip coffee, I would say 5 to 6.
A habit of yours that you hate?
I speak too much.
The most valuable skill you've learned in life?
Synthesizing things to make them simpler.
One word description of your leadership style?
Empowering.
Ideal vacation spot for relaxation?
The same country house.
Key factor for maintaining a work-life balance?
Have a good partner that reminds you when you need to stop working.
Okay. All right, that was the end of the rapid fire.
This episode is sponsored by Outgrow.co, the world's first all-in-one interactive content builder. Use Outgrow to build quizzes, calculators, tests, polls, forms, contests, and chatbots to generate leads and keep your audience engaged. Sign up for a free trial at https://outgrow.co.
Now we're going to go on to the longer questions, which you can answer with as much time and ease as you like. The first one is, as the global head of digital economy at Moody's Ratings, can you talk about what the digital economy team is and what you guys do?
Sure. My group is responsible for both the analytical initiatives and the business preparedness efforts related to the digitalization of the global economy, supported by technologies like AI and blockchain. So analytical preparedness, because our role is to tell market participants about the risks and opportunities that come with digital technologies, AI, digital finance, and key risks that come with those technologies, including cyber, in particular as it relates to finance and credit risk. And 2, business preparedness, because when our stakeholders tell us that they want us to be with them, for instance, on digital platforms, we'll be ready. But it takes a lot of upstream work to be ready. It's tech and data work, it's process optimization and design work, it's a lot of risk compliance and regulatory preparedness work. So we have to do all of that, and my group is in charge of it.
And so when it comes to preparedness, how are you ensuring the rating agency remains at the forefront of industry development?
All right, that's a great question. I have multiple answers to that. So first key ingredient is to make sure that everybody is involved so that you don't create a team that goes into the future alone, leaving all the others behind. So for that, we created a large matrix organization with different teams. We have a core team of subject matter experts in AI, data science, blockchain, digital assets, cyber. And those people spend time monitoring market developments, regulatory developments, technology developments, and they keep all the others informed and trained. My digital economy leadership team is comprised of senior leaders from all the departments across the rating agency, so that we always align with respect to strategic objectives. And then we've also created a network of champions. They are ambassadors within their own business units for all topics related to the digitalization of the economy. Another key ingredient is to start by building a solid foundation first that you can build on top of afterwards within the right risk and control assessment framework so that you can operate in a safe and sound way, in a so that you can operate in a safe and sound environment. And it takes a lot of time to set that up initially, but once it's ready, it really helps you ultimately go a lot faster.
So speaking of this digital economy, in general, what are the differences when it comes to ratings in a digital world versus a traditional world?
Right. So I like to say that a bond is a bond, and even a digital bond is just a bond issued through a digital platform, DLT platform, but that's just a technical wrapper of it. So when you start your analysis, you start with the traditional primary credit risk drivers that are typically explained in our rating methodologies. And then you think about additional considerations that you may want to look at that are specific to the digital wrapper, if you want. Considerations or factors that could be reasons why cash flows could be trapped somewhere in the structure, not going ultimately to investors as planned.
And so what are the key challenges then when it comes to scaling in the digital finance space?
There are a few, and I'll group them into three categories. The first category is legal/regulatory. The second category is technical infrastructure. And the third category is behavioral. So let's start with the legal bucket. The legal status of digital assets and asset tokens is not clear everywhere, depending on where you are in the world. You have some regions like Asia and Europe where there's quite a lot of clarity. There's some good momentum in other regions, including parts of Latin America and Middle East. And then there is very little regulatory clarity in the US. That's for the first bucket. The second one was technical infrastructure. So it's mainly about the lack of interoperability across digital platforms, but it's also about the lack of digital cash. So you have a lot of potential candidates for that, but it's not ready yet. So for instance, you have unbacked cryptocurrencies, but they're too volatile to be used as actual cash, even though they have a role to play in the digital economy. You have tokenized deposits, but you don't have enough to do anything at scale to date. You have central bank digital currencies or CBDCs, but except for less than a handful of retail CBDCs that are in production already, all the others are theoretical projects and pilots. So nothing that you can really use, again, at scale. And then finally, you have stablecoins that are available. They do exist, but the vast majority of them are issued in USD. And we don't have a regulatory framework yet in the US for stablecoins. So market participants are really reluctant to use stablecoins as cash until they know that it's as good as cash. So in the meantime, the market has been thinking about other ways to transfer value across digital platforms using potentially other assets, tokenized assets.
So what are some of the...
I forgot one. The third one, the third bucket was behavioral. And what I mean by this is that there is still a gap between supply and demand in digital finance. On the supply side, on the sell side, you have a lot of people getting ready or already ready. You have structures, you have lawyers, you have technologists, regulators are ready to look at digital assets. On the demand side, on the buy side, there's still a lot of confusion. People are still thinking, blockchain equals FTX equals anything digital, really. And they're trying to understand what's in it for them outside of technology aspects. So we've been demystifying with our research, with our ratings, a lot of that digital finance space, telling investors and other market participants what it really means from a financial and an economic perspective. Moving away from the buzzwords of crypto finance, essentially, and making sure that people understand that digital finance is just finance.
If you have on one side, you have the fiat currency, you have the stocks, you have bonds, which is all the formalized stuff of AFB, right? On the other side, you have cryptocurrencies, as I mentioned, you have NFTs, you have DeFi. What is, in your opinion, what is the problem that this part is trying to solve? Is there a problem? Or why do you think we have now this trend towards DeFi, towards a less centralized system? So, in your opinion, why would you the problem that it takes them solve?
So maybe since I like buckets, I'm going to answer that with since and I like buckets, I'm going to answer that with 3 buckets of digital finance. So first bucket is what I call digital infrastructure. So it's really finance as you know it, with essentially the same market participants, the same workflows, the same assets, mostly the same cash flows. And that's in that bucket that I put asset tokenization in particular. So it's probably the biggest growth area in digital finance. Then you have the second bucket that I call native digital assets. So that's all the assets that only exist because there is a blockchain with multiple blockchains. So it would be things like unbacked cryptocurrencies I mentioned before, and stable coins, CBDCs to some extent, even though many of them are not blockchain-based, NFTs, DeFi protocols. And then a third bucket is what I call digital infrastructure. So it's all the existing traditional institutions that are more and more exposed to digital risks, whether it's because they are directly investing in digital assets or because they're shifting their business model from traditional to digital. And with that comes everything like contagion risk, from traditional finance to digital finance, traditional finance, as well as like macro risks and macro considerations. So those different buckets are interconnected. The first one, as I said, is expected to be the biggest growth area, but you cannot really power everything in that newly powered digital finance ecosystem without using digital fuel. And that's when the second bucket comes into play. And of course, you don't operate in a vacuum. So bucket 1 and bucket 2 do not exist without bucket 3. And so you see that all those buckets are interconnected. Now, DeFi itself, and NFTs, it's a very tiny portion of that broader digital finance ecosystem. DeFi in good days, it's $50 billion. That's it. So for DeFi to grow and to kind of leverage the benefits of decentralized finance, including efficiency and security, you need the other buckets to grow. And until you have more assets to put in digital platforms, in DeFi platforms, DeFi is just cryptocurrencies for the sake of cryptocurrencies. The only thing that you do in the DeFi space to date is you buy cryptocurrencies and you use cryptocurrencies to borrow other cryptocurrencies, but that's essentially everything that's going on in the DeFi space. As you see bucket 1 expand and you start to see more digital assets available, digital tokens available to power DeFi platforms, then you can see that the two buckets, 1 and 2, will start to merge more. And some of the DeFi protocols and some of the DeFi technologies will be more and more integrated into the traditional finance space.
So regarding AI and its impact on credit imminent, or is its impact on credit imminent, or is it going to take some time before it materializes?
All right, that's a good question. I think at this stage, it is too early for AI to have material impact on credit quality overall, except for the couple of sectors that are related to the creation of AI models and infrastructure. So, for instance, if you're producing and selling GPUs right now, you're quite busy and in a good way. Now, as new AI models and solutions are developed and released over the next, say, 3 to 5 years, then the impact of AI on credit quality will become clearer and clearer. And I'm thinking in particular about sectors that are data rich, where market leaders will be able to leverage AI to kind of customize and differentiate their product and service offerings. What's important, if you really want to leverage AI efficiently, is to embed AI in your product offerings, as opposed to people that will grab, ChatGPT off the shelf like everybody else. So if you really want a sustainable competitive advantage, you need to embed AI in your products, and you need to do that with the right risk framework in place as well to control what you're doing with AI. Now, in terms of what's next, I'm thinking first about the global media and publishing sector with the subsectors of advertising and entertainment content. And all of that is mainly driven by the Gen AI subset of AI. And interestingly, this is probably the first technical or technological transformation where knowledge workers are impacted before blue collar workers, and that's because of the nature of Gen AI. The next sector will be manufacturing, probably in particular the auto manufacturing sector. And that part is not that much about Gen AI, but it's also about other aspects of AI, including edge computing. So that's the fact of processing the data that you collect along the way directly where you collect it, as opposed to sending the data to a faraway server, processing that data, and then sending it back to the site where it's needed. So when you think about auto manufacturing in particular, you see how useful it can be to collect things along the way and improve safety, driver experience, and also ultimately to help with self-driving cars. And then maybe another sector or group of sectors would be, as I mentioned before, all the data heavy sectors. I'm thinking about banking and insurance in particular. You already have a number of AI applications in production in those sectors. I'm thinking about customer service related applications, for instance, but also AI to optimize trading strategies and financial solutions and fraud detection and claims processing. So you already have a lot of that in place, and will get better and better over time. And because those sectors are typically high in terms of labor costs, there's a lot of opportunities to kind of automate and to create cost savings opportunities. At least that's what we've observed and heard from market participants.
So are there any potential risks or challenges in integrating AI into credit systems?
There are a lot of risks and challenges into integrating AI into everything or anything. You need to control all aspects of technology considerations. You need to consider all legal and regulatory risks. And you need to also control for the way those tools are being used. So back to my point on behaviors, it's almost as important as the technical risks and cyber risks that are underlying those applications, but the way people use them, use the tools, is extremely important to keep an eye on.
So I'll just ask you one final question. As a personal kind, what would you be doing in your life if not this?
That's a great question. I don't know. Maybe I would be teaching math, or maybe I would be a singer. I'm not sure.
And another bonus question, what advice would you have for job seekers looking to work in your industry?
I would say Um, do not focus solely on the technology part of digital finance, nor solely on the finance part of digital finance. You need to be curious um, and think about both. Um, you need to keep learning. You need to keep looking out and outside of your personal environment and be creative.
Well, we were already winding down, but I think I have a question that is also technical, but I hope it's good for you.
Yeah.
Like so, with the implementation of AI, Gen AI in finance, etc., one can see that the approach in the world is not the same per country, right? Some regions like the EU, they are going to have the AI directives in very soon, but this is not now. I'm a little lost. And then some other areas are definitely not taking into consideration for revelation law. So, in your point of view, in your mindset, which ones do you see that are going to be the counters that may need the transformation of Gen AI in finance?
In terms of regions and countries,
Yes.
it's really hard to say without making enemies. so, uh, so
Or where do you see is the most advanced at the moment?
So there is quite a lot of regulatory clarity in a few regions, including China, that pretty much started first with regulatory frameworks, and with the EU, with frameworks that are published and quite clear. Um, in other parts of the world, it's not clear yet. You have guidance documents that have been published. You have a lot of bilateral agreements. You have a lot of global summits and global cooperation. But I don't know that there is a right way to do it. Some people would tell you we need regulatory clarity so that we know what we can and can do, and so that we can innovate safely. Other people would tell you that at this stage it's too early to be part of or to be subject to a regulatory framework, and that instead you should let companies innovate first, and once you have more a longer track record of what can be done with those technologies, at that point you start to regulate. I don't know what the right answer is. I just know that at some point it will stabilize anyway. And again, we've heard both from market participants, people that are very excited about clear and existing regulatory frameworks, and others that are hoping that it's not going to be too fast and too restrictive.